this is Bridget with Life on Spectrum, and for this episode I'm going to speak to you about Section 2 of your child's IEP. And Section 2 is known as the present educational levels. This is what I like to think of as the meat and potatoes of the IEP. Now, in a perfect world, the IEP for your child would not be developed until the IEP meeting. However, generally speaking, it takes a teacher 2 to 3 hours to complete an IEP. So just think of it as a draft going into the IEP. And the present educational levels is where you'll get all the information of what they've collected over the past year. And that is actually divided into 7 different sections. The first section is called the academic achievements. This is where all the assessments are placed. This could be from the evaluation, but also for any yearly evaluations that they do, possibly in reading or math, or even some of the different goals or progress monitoring they have done. This is where all this is located. Some case managers or teachers also like to put some basic information about your child within this area. So when teachers actually read it, they can actually start to understand who your child is. Now, the second section of Section 2 is also called the functional performance section. This is where your autistic support teacher will put their data. Functional performance literally means is how they function within the classroom. So the first part was academic, dealing with the academics, their reading, their writing, their math, their arithmetic, their history. And the second section is the functional performance. That's if they can do their small or gross motor skills, if they can't, how they're behaving within the classroom, those kind of things. It may also include things like attendance. If your student tends to be absent quite a bit, under functional performance, this is where this would go. And like I said, also if they have a one-to-one or a paraeducator, this would go under functional performance also, about why they need an assistant with them for the day or part of the day. The third part of Section 2 is called the transition section. And this only needs to be completed when they turn the age of 14. This section is a summary of any activities they've done for transition. Now, transition can be a wide variety of things, and there's going to be an extra episode just about transition because there's also another section within the IEP devoted to transition. So tune into that episode if you need more information on that. But the fourth part of Section 2 is called the Parental Concerns. This is your chance to speak your mind, tell them what's good, what's bad, what your worries are, what your goals are for your child. And this can be done verbally over the phone or at the IEP meeting. It can also be done through parent questionnaires or parent surveys, and it also can be taken from the evaluation. Just make sure that your voice is being heard in this section because they do take that in consideration making the rest of the IEP. The next section of Section 2 is also how it affects the general education curriculum. This needs to be within this IEP to state what your son or daughter can or cannot do in general education curriculum. Not within the classroom, but the curriculum. Every classroom has a state curriculum to follow. If your son and daughter needs modifications or adaptations, this is where the statement is included, and it should be in details, especially if they receive autistic support services. That is outside of the general education curriculum, so it should be specified in this area. The next part of Section 2 is the strengths and needs. There's 2 different sections. First, the strengths, which can literally be a list of all the things that your son or daughter is really good at. And it can be everything from having a sense of humor to being able to write their letters of the alphabet to being able to comprehend reading. It could be a wide variety of things, whether they're athletic or whatever the case may be. Make sure everything you can think of goes in there for the strengths. And last but not least is the needs. This needs section is very important. It kind of summarizes everything about the present educational levels or Section 2. It basically narrows it down to the areas that there needs to be goals. Goals and objectives is basically the idea of the whole IEP. That's what they're going to work on for the next year. So whatever is in the needs section needs to have a goal or an objective or at least a modification. And tune into those episodes to learn more about that. And this is Bridget with Life on Spectrum. Thanks for watching that episode, and make sure you come back and join us again for upcoming videos. They'll be uploaded almost on a daily basis. Also, if you really enjoyed us, like us below, or even leave a comment for us to respond back to. And if for all of you that are really involved in the Life on Spectrum, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We appreciate you. We hope that this is worthwhile for you, and we'll see you next time on Life on Spectrum.